All right, everybody. Thanks for all the good wishes because we've had some luck. And I ended up swapping the ROMs in the motherboard with my original motherboard because I had already cleaned those. And so once I did that, put the unoxidized pins into the socket, the Apple booted right up. And I was going to try to load some cassettes, but I think I'll save that for another video where I show you how the old cassette interface worked. Because you have to actually get the... I have an old cassette recorder. You got to get the speed of the recorder just right and the volume just right. There's a lot of tricky stuff to get in the cassettes to work. But I did put one of the cassettes inside the cassette player and played it. And believe it or not, after all these years, there's still audio and it sounds pretty good on the cassette. So maybe we can do a cassette episode to show you how the old cassettes worked. Anyway, I put the only card in here right now because I'm just going to let the power supply just run and run and run. Hopefully those caps will reform, or if they're bad, I'm gonna eventually open up that power supply and look inside and check those caps out and make sure they don't need to be replaced. But so far the voltages look good and everything's stable. The only card in there, therefore, is the drive controller card. Like I said before, I have an original Apple drive and also a microside drive. And believe it or not, I'm amazed actually. It must be because of the density on these things, but here is an original Apple DOS 3.3 System Master. You can see how old it is because the label is toast. And I, honestly didn't think this would boot. But believe it or not, to my amazement, I put the thing in the drive. Now remember, these came out between 1978 and 1981, somewhere around there. So they're quite old. And I'm just amazed how magnetic flux can last so long on this type of media. Anyway, I was able to load a program called Brian's Theme, which just basically steps through a bunch of graphics. And I'm impressed. The Apple's working really well so far. I've only got the monochrome monitor now. Eventually I'll try to hook it to a color TV and see if I can get color, but I'm just ecstatic that it's actually working and running software. So anyway, let me show you how this boots, how we used to do this, all right? So what we would do is, let's start from a power off condition, okay? When you've got the controller card in there, what happens is, I believe the monitor ROM senses that, looks for the actual ROM. Actually, I think the way it worked is it scans all the slots, looks for a header on an EEPROM that's in the card, and if it sees it, it runs that card. And so there's software on this Reina drive controller that picks that up. Now I'm not going to put the floppy in until we turn it on. So when you first turn it on, sorry about that, first turn it on, you'll see the floppy fires up, the LED is lit, and it just sits there and spins, and the Apple just sits there. And so I'll go ahead and insert the floppy. Now I can hear the drive stepping, and this is what you get on the screen. No retries, which I'm impressed. The head didn't retry, just loads right up. Look at that. 8/25/1980. So I'll give you an idea of that software. And if I remember correctly, and my keyboard still... I cleaned the keyboard, by the way. I cleaned the header contact, the pins of the controller with some isopropyl cleaner, and it seemed to fix it. But now the problem is once in a while these keys, they're kind of funky. They repeat once in a while because I haven't used the keyboard in years. So I think as I use this keyboard and press down more on the keys, it'll kind of like clean up the contacts and it'll become more stable. But I am going to do some research and see if there's any kind of cleaner I can spray into the switches. I think they were cherry switches, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, if I remember right, it's not directory, it's catalog. Kind of like a library catalog back then to see what's on the drive. And there's the files on the drive. The ones with the I are in integer basic. I can't run those right now because I don't have the memory card with the language card option in there. What would happen is with the RAM card, there was two cards Apple made. They made a language card with a set of ROMs on it and a switch, and you could boot in integer or boot in floating point. But if you have the RAM card, DOS that would load up, sense the RAM card, and load integer basic into your RAM card, and then that way you could flip automatically or something like that. It's been so long. But anyway, I'll get that RAM card in there after I get this power supply stabilized. I'm pretty sure it's working good, but I just don't want to put too much of a load on it yet. Anyway, there's the, you hit enter and it gives you the whole catalog. And you see FP basic and int basic. Those are the images that would get loaded into the RAM card. So if you had integer basic, it would load the FP basic. If you had FP basic, which is what this is, it would load integer basic. It would load the card with that, so you could run both kinds of programs. But right now I'm stuck to running binary programs or basically the AppleSoft. So I loaded Brian's theme and ran it, and it seemed to be working pretty good. By the way, my monitor's dirty. I'm going to clean it here in a little bit. That's what I got for today. Once I get it stabilized, I'm going to do a video on each card as I put them in and explain what they do, and I might have to work on the cards too. So, but there you have it, Apple II, 1980, circa 1980. So old technology, man, still works. It's incredible. And anyway, thanks a lot for watching. And if you have an old computer that you know, motivated you when you were younger, you know, maybe a Coco or a PET or a Commodore or Atari, maybe this will kind of give you a little motivation to pull it out of the closet and see if it still works. Take care, everybody.